Name?
Cooke. William W. Cooke.
Rank?
First Lieutenant, 7th U.S. Cavalry.
7th Cavalry. Did you know Custer?
Yes, sir. I was his regimental adjutant. We'd served together for years.
During the Indian Wars?
Yes, sir, but we were also Union cavalrymen before that, during the Southern Rebellion. We helped shorten it.
Really? How?
By beating Lee at his own game. Outmaneuver him, outrun him, overrun him. See, the Rebs started this mobile warfare, but by God, by the end of it, we were doing it better than they were. See, that's why we won. At the very end, we cut Lee's legs out from under it.
The Battle of Sailor's Creek.
Yes, sir. And it was all Custer's doing. His actions led to victory.
I've heard his actions were risky and dangerous.
God, they were a thing of beauty.
But wasn't Sailor's Creek also one of the most vicious and brutal battles of the entire campaign?
It was that, too.
Was it the worst you were ever in?
No. Not the worst. There was another.
Of course. One out on the plain with the 7th Cavalry.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Cooke, how would you describe General Custer?
He was the most fearless soldier I'd ever met.
I'm told the opposite. That he wasn't so much fearless as he was foolish. And that Custer was the biggest ass who ever lived.
See, well, that all depends, sir.
On what?
On whether they met you or not first.
You don't like it when the general's criticized.
I've never heard anyone criticize him.
No? Well, that's odd. Isn't that what this investigation is about? To find out if George Armstrong Custer was a great American hero or just some stupid son of a bitch who led himself and his men on to needless death.
I say he's a hero, sir.
Yes, I'm sure you do, Lieutenant. After all, you're a soldier. And I must admit that your own career is interesting enough. You moved to the U.S. at 14, enlisted at 17, lied to the recruitment officer about your age to get in. Wounded in battle, and then after the rebels were defeated, you joined the 7th Cavalry and had a whole new enemy to kill. The Indians. And you did it very well. So much so that it has been said that Custer and the 7th Cavalry needlessly slaughtered the Red Man. What do you say to that charge, Lieutenant?
I say that people like you should be shot and pissed on, and not necessarily in that order.
But you did kill Indians.
Only the hostiles. See, and they were trying to kill us, so I figure it was pretty well even that way. Kill or be killed. There always was a goodly fight when we met up with them.
Like at the Washita. Was that a goodly fight, Lieutenant? Or was it the needless slaughter of women and children?
We won, sir. That's all that mattered. General Custer was a hero, a great American hero.
Perhaps. But you're not, Lieutenant. In fact, you're not even American, are you? You came here from Canada, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Hamilton, Canada.
The Queen's Own. Isn't that what some of the boys call you? And Canada. Isn't that where Sitting Bull went after he killed Custer?
Sitting Bull didn't kill anyone, sir. He's an old man. It was Crazy Horse that slammed us at the end.
Did he kill Custer?
I don't rightly know, sir. I was already dead by then.
I know, but I always thought that once you were dead, you could see everything.
No, it don't work that way.
No? Why not?
Well, damned if I know. It's just the way it is.
If you say so, Lieutenant. But perhaps You can tell me this much. What was the military objective of that summer campaign?
To pursue the hostiles and bring them to battle.
And the greater goal?
To remove them.
From the Black Hills, where we discovered gold.
From the plains entirely, if possible. See, we reserved a place for them to go. Tribes friendly to the government were already there.
And if those hostiles refused to leave?
Then we'd persuade them to.
You mean you would kill them?
Well, if they didn't kill us first, yes.
To do this, you needed to attack in force.
Of course. The larger, the better.
And if you were separated and isolated out there, what would happen to you?
Then you'd be going home, sir.
Going home?
Home to Valhalla. You'd be dead. Any white man out there all alone in a small company didn't have a chance.
You mean like Major Elliot and the other men that Custer abandoned at the Wichita?
See, now that was unfortunate, but Elliot acted without orders and put himself and his men in that situation. It wasn't the general's fault.
Really? Well, let's look at Custer's strategies. How did you defeat the Indians at the Wichita?
The same way we beat Lee. Outmaneuver, outrun, overrun. You see, the general would send some men to attack one end of the village. And then when the warriors came out to fight them, they'd leave the camp unguarded from behind.
By the camp, you mean the women and children?
Yes, sir. So the general would then sweep in from that unguarded flank and attack in force.
And then you'd kill anyone who resisted.
Well, hell, they all resisted. They were hostiles.
And any women and children still alive would be kept as hostages?
They were prisoners, sir.
What would happen next?
Well, we'd burn the village and force march them to where they should have been in the first place.
Those reservations.
Right, where the friendlies were. Where they'd all be eventually.
Now, let me see if I got this right. The battle plan called for General Custer to divide his forces before he attacked.
Yes, sir.
Did he divide his before the final charge?
Well, yes, sir. See, into 3. Well, 4 if you include the mule packs.
Why into so many groups?
Well, to cover more territory. Before you can engage the hostiles, you have to find them first. And we weren't really too sure where they were. So the general sent Benteen off to scout the left flank.
And did Captain Benteen find any Indians?
Not a one. But we did. We knew there was a big camp somewhere up ahead, and we found them in the valley of the Little Bighorn River.
And then?
We set to attack with the troops we had.
With such a divided force? Why didn't you wait until Benteen returned? Why didn't you wait for the pack train with extra ammunition?
Because we didn't want the Indians to get away. We thought they would scatter. And I did send a message to Benteen to join us with the pack train.
Yes, you did. This one. Benteen, come on, big village. Be quick. Bring packs. W.W. Cooke. P.S. Bring packs.
It was the last thing I ever wrote.
And then Custer split his forces yet again.
Well, of course.
Who led that first charge?
Major Reno. Now there was a useless tit if there ever was one.
And Reno attacked the nearest end of the village?
Right, while we swept around the hills to the weak side.
But you didn't get to the end of the village, did you?
No, sir. What we thought was the end of the village was only the middle of the village.
And there weren't just defenseless women and children there.
No, there were hostiles. Many, many hostiles.
And yet, Custer continued on. Why? Was he insane?
No, sir, he was not.
Against overwhelming odds, he continued the attack.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever regret being with him?
Just see, at the very end, it wasn't supposed to end that way. It wasn't supposed to end at all. And then it did.
Lieutenant Cooke, I'm going to ask you the big question now. Was General Custer responsible for all those deaths? Was he culpable in your death?
I suppose you've already made up your mind about that.
Actually, Lieutenant, I haven't. I want to hear what you say first.
Well, to tell you truly, well, the answer is yes. I do believe he was, ultimately.
I see. And knowing what you now know, would you have gone on that final charge with him?
Yes, sir, I would.
Because he was your leader, and your friend, and you go with him wherever he went.
Yes, sir. Where he goes, I go.
Even into the valley of the Little Bighorn.
Even into the gates of hell, sir.
And if the ultimate price he paid was death?
Then it meant a soldier's death for me, too.
Of course. Of course. Now, I understand. You were going home.
Yes, sir. We were going home.